Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Joined here with Monte. Hope you guys are having a good Tuesday, getting through into the week here. Q's down across the board, kind of, but we had some interesting divergence between that and IWM still being up. ES is still positive, DXY a little bit up today as well. Bitcoin sold off pretty decently last night in terms of spot selling, going below 30,000. So we're right at like 29,800 right now. I've seen some folks, posting about, bidding Solana and potentially bidding Lido at these levels because we are touching some of the range lows, at least in terms of crypto. But tons to talk about today. Excited to jump into all of it. Monte, anything you'd like to kick things off with?
Yeah, well, Bitcoin isn't that exciting today. Last night we saw quite a bit of spot selling. So if we pull up that chart quickly, just starting there, you'll see that we're down, down just below 30K. So hovering right below that range. But as the US market is opened, it seems like we're getting some strength coming in here. And the reason why I think we're seeing this, you can definitely attribute to Coinbase. And we've talked about this in the past. CJ, I think you did a great job yesterday explaining how and why these crypto related equities can be kind of the leaders for Bitcoin's price action. And, without convincing positive price action from coin, Bitcoin doesn't really have a catalyst for positive price action. In the past, it's been the exact opposite, right? Bitcoin has been the leader that has led all these other crypto stocks to pump. But now that we see coin, headed up towards 110, Cathie Wood sold all or basically all of her position, right? She's basically out of coin and it looks like it's unaffected, looks like it's ready to go back up and, retest the highs. So I think today we actually have a positive day for Bitcoin. So going back to the Bitcoin chart, and yesterday I talked about this a little bit, like the analogy of the tail wagging the dog. I think in this instance, like the dog is definitely wagging the tail, and the dog is the crypto related equities, and the tail is crypto. But getting back to Bitcoin, look at this 15-minute chart, right? It's no coincidence that when US equities open, Bitcoin starts to go up. That I think is definitely because if you look at the crypto related equities, coin up 3.5%, MicroStrategy up 4% or 0.4%, Riot up 1.5%. All of these look very good to start the day. And of course, they're bringing Bitcoin with it. So I think that really tells us a lot about the relationship between these crypto related equities and Bitcoin. And we've been talking about it for quite a while, how, or like, why is this happening? Why is this phenomenon happening? In the past, Bitcoin's been the leader. But I think you made a great point yesterday, CJ, in that for big funds and institutions, it's a lot easier to just get exposure on the S&P to what is essentially a high beta altcoin, right? That's the way these
They're
coins.
making it that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they've turned it into. So you can get exposure much easier. You can get in and out of positions. The on ramp to do so is very easy. Whereas if you're buying Bitcoin, it's a little bit more of a process, and there's a little bit more risk involved in just the actual purchasing of it. So to me, it's not too surprising to see the crypto related equities pumping now that we have a lot of big names coming into the space. I think the Coinbase chart still looks very good and has potential upside. And on the back of that, what? Why is that funny?
Because it's just a straight line upward.
I know, but
I
what do you say?
wanted to, if I may just make one point here on
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
crypto equities. You make a good point about how they are isolated from, I think, the altcoins and have held up a lot better relative to the altcoins. A lot of crypto native people who have made 7, 8, in some cases even 9 figures in crypto, a lot of them are, naturally contrarian. They kind of have stuck to the crypto native roots, not necessarily investing in the S&P or having capital in like a regulated brokerage, a place where you would buy things like coins. So I think there's a lot of capital, especially when you think about China, Japan, South Korea, they don't really have exposure to Coinbase in terms of the retail traders in those jurisdictions. So maybe you see some type of like migration or some type of flow of capital, because those people are going to want to have exposure to Coinbase at some time if it becomes like a meme stock and continues pumping like it does. Because I think that's truly its potential here. Everybody knows Coinbase. Everybody sees it on the NBA, stadiums. It's ubiquitous. So, we'll see. We'll see. I thought it was pretty nice to see that, it's held up decently after, ARK has sold a lot of shares here. But I honestly, I took a little bit of profit on coin. I still hold kind of a core position. So if it runs off on me, I'll be fine. But I just can't bring myself to eliminate that core position because I think a lot of people still want to buy this thing under 100. And if it just runs away to like 130 or 200, like it's just, I don't think it's something that you're going to get below 70 again, unless we have some remote event risk or something. But yeah, decent start to the day.
Yeah, I'd say, especially considering what we're seeing in the rest of the market, CJ. You had posted in our community Discord about that interesting divergence that we're getting between the Qs. Excuse me, let me switch back to daily chart. The Qs and the IWM, right? The IWM, you talked about this yesterday, and you actually, got to give you props. You called this because of the COT trader positioning, and basically the short float of the IWM, like compared to the S&P and the NASDAQ. The IWM was heavily shorted. So I think what we're seeing here today is a lot of puts unwinding, and finally it's seeing its day in the sun. Also, with the NASDAQ pulling back a little bit and the Qs pulling back, like with the big names pulling back, I think one thing that CJ and I talked about before the show is a little bit of like rotation of capital, right? The NASDAQ has had its time in the sun for the last month, while the IWM, has been more kind of choppy and range bound. But now that people are seemingly taking profits in the NASDAQ, I say that, and yet, it's looking like we actually may have already put in the lows for the day. The IWM chugging along, already up 1.4% today. What do you make of this, CJ, in terms of the divergence between ES, the NASDAQ, and particularly the IWM?
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting it to be this severe. You had talked to me before the show a little bit about how, maybe we see a little bit of 11 a.m. turnaround and things like IWM, and then maybe
Yeah.
NASDAQ rallies to end the day where IWM pulls back a bit. We shall see. In terms of IWM, like in my opinion, there are two types of contrarian trading that I focus on. One is like turn picking, which has to do with positioning. Well, all contrarian trading has to do with positioning, but there's two types of contrarian trading. The one is turn picking, the other is trend following. But trend following can also be contrarian if everybody is like short or against the overall trend. And so I have found that within those two types of contrarian trading, typically trend following in non-crowded markets or trend following in markets that are crowded in like the inverse direction. In this case, there were crowded shorts out of all of the other indices. Perhaps that's why it's up the most today. But either way, that was kind of the continuation. And then also we have this like narrative thing going on in equities. It's kind of funny coming from a crypto background. You see kind of these narratives in crypto and they play out, and they do play out in the equity market as well. But since the market's just way bigger, it takes like maybe 3 to 5 times as longer. The price action that you'd see in crypto in 1 week maybe takes 3 to 5 weeks in a traditional market to manifest. But regardless, I think the first rotation, and this has to do with the weightings of the stocks and the evolution of market breadth and what we've seen over the past couple months. Nasdaq was the first to lead. That short squeeze is basically done. The second one then was ES. That was the kind of second rotationary trade to make new local highs. And now you have IWM, which is just starting, if you could zoom out just a little bit and look at like how long we've been in this like channel, perhaps this is now the third cycle of rotation between these massive indices in which, IWM runs those previous two mountain peaks.
Yeah, it's looking like this could be the time to do so. I mean, look at this volume down here. That's what we talked about a little bit, when we're looking for assets that are showing signs of accumulation structures. Like, I used this example yesterday, but Peter Brandt and his sheep trade, like it looked very similar to this down here, right? Where you have this sort of sideways price action, but you have a massive uptick in volume that typically leads to continuation. And I don't think we've seen the end of it yet for the IWM. So may not be the most exciting indice. I like to, poke some fun at CJ, call it the boomer indice, but at the end of the day, whatever is moving the most is what you should be trading. And I think the IWM actually really has some significant upside potential. I would target, the 210 range, particularly right around this level, where we saw previous consolidation before this like big, kind of wave formation we got into here. So that's what I'm looking for. And I think that we very well may get it. So good stuff there. Nice call on that one, CJ. And the only other thing I really have to say today is, just take a look at these crypto related equities, right? They're looking good. Mara up 2.67%, 2.7%, looking like it is going to make another shot at running the highs here. Same thing goes for Riot. Looks like it's ready to take another shot at running the highs. And one thing that I've said, many times on this show and on Trading Rebellion is that all of these assets, not just the crypto stocks, but also the major assets in the queues, despite the fact that they're pulling back today, I am still very bullish of the on these assets heading into earnings. And all of them have earnings coming up here soon. I think we're going to see a lot of like front running price action, people trying to, front run earnings in anticipation of a positive reaction to earnings. And that's why I think that a lot of these names are going to see a reversal. So like the only position I'm in right now is I'm in Google calls that expire on Friday they expire Friday the 28th. They're the strike price is 125, so they were at the monies yesterday, taking a little bit on the chin today. But that's okay because, like I said, I do think that this gets run up before earnings. My options don't expire till after earnings, and I'll be willing to take profit if we do really run up hard into earnings and make new highs, which I think is very much on the table. So that's the only trade that I'm in right now. And I think that, to be honest, I think that looking at this chart, I think we've seen the lows for the day for Google and for many of the other assets in the queues. Like Amazon was down hard to start the day. But, we're seeing these wicks of accumulation indicative of a potential reversal. And I think that we may get that. I mean, it essentially perfectly filled this gap. Now it can go ahead and continue its upward trajectory. So technicians can be happy. The gap was filled to the downside. Now it's time for some positive price action, which looks like it looks like that's what we're getting. So I think, just my personal opinion, but I think the lows for the Magnificent Seven are in for the day, and that from here on out it's upwards and onwards. But curious to hear your thoughts on that, CJ.
They need a hateful eight. Yeah.
I know you
Doesn't
love
make sense.
a good Western.
It's the better movie. Well, actually, I have not seen Magnificent Seven. Have you?
I haven't, no, but I like the Hateful Eight a lot.
Yeah, that one's probably way better. Even though I have not seen Magnificent Seven. Regardless, I do want to talk a little bit about some crypto. Something that you guys might find somewhat funny. So Sui has now made more blockchain transactions than Solana, which Doesn't seem like a massive accomplishment, but evidently there's this game.
Yeah, I heard about
The surge in
this.
SUI network transactions in recent days is thanks to a game called SUI 8192 by Ethos Wallet. Um, I don't know if this is real, but either way, it doesn't really matter based on last night's price action. Now we have seen quite a sell-off since last night's, bullish price action. SUI opened up. This 15-minute chart was pretty hilarious. I mean, how many green candles in a row?
Yeah, my God. That's like 15 in a row. More than that, even. Almost 20 straight green
I
candles.
count 17, and then you have these two little kind of uh, inverted hammer candles. Anyways, we'll see if this thing continues to run up. But just an observation: anytime you see red or like kind of a general pullback in markets, I like to look at crypto and look at things that have shown decent relative strength. You see this pump last night. Aptos was pumping right along SUI, so those are kind of a little chain
Yeah.
reaction pair going together, or at least that's how it's been. So I'd keep my eyes on that. In terms of like bidding alts, I haven't done a whole lot. I bought a little bit of Lido last night. A little down on that position, I think. Not much has happened. Just right into support. We're right at the 20 smooth moving average. I'm looking at this basically the support, or what I should say formerly was resistance at $2. Might now flip to support. So we'll see. Either way, I think, we basically came down we gave back all of whatever those gains were that we made on the 13th. So maybe we pump it back up to 240, get a nice little scalp back up to the top of the range. That's just what I'm looking at in terms of Lido. But I'd say Pepe had been pretty disappointing, at least so far. We'll see if it actually comes back. But as of now, yeah, Sui has had the most relative strength. Also, Rollbit, although I don't really have any way to buy it. I haven't funded my MetaMask in quite a while. So, Monte, I know you were buying Bob coin and did quite well on that meme coin. Have you rolled any of those profits into RBL or RLB, whatever it is?
No, but I should. I should, because I mean, how can a crypto gambling stock go wrong? Right? No, but in all seriousness, I haven't. I just typically, when I make profits on a trade like that, I'll just move back into ETH. And that's what I did in this instance. And I actually do want to talk about ETH briefly, because I think right now is actually a good time to buy ETH. I'm actually gonna go ahead right now live
do
on
you,
the show.
do you stake any ETH?
I do stake ETH, yes. I do stake ETH. I
Do you do
use
it
both
the
Lido.
OG way? Okay, Lido.
I do it both. I do it both ways. So I like to try out the various means of earning yield and whatnot. And like we always say, the best way to do it is to just go out and do it, and actually try it and try it for yourself, figure it out for yourself. And I've had a lot of fun doing that. But right now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to buy some spot ETH. Good morning, Ross. Because I like what I'm seeing from ETH. And actually, let me go ahead and fire up the MEXC account and add a 3x lever position. Okay. So I am in. And the reason for doing so is, look at this chart here. First of all, declining bearish volume. We saw a massive, massive sell-off here, even more so than Bitcoin in the overnight hours. And since then, we've seen some nice supply absorption, very reminiscent of this right here. Not saying that you're going to get any sort of candles like this in the next couple of hours, but what I'm seeing here from ETH today, right now, I think is looking very positive. And if we see Bitcoin reclaim that 30K level, which is looking set to do, I think we see ETH reclaim 2K. I know it sounds almost counterintuitive. Like, what does, 30K Bitcoin and 2K ETH have to do with each other, but it's just the psychology of the market and whether or not we're risk on or risk off. Great way to look at that is the ETH BTC pair. We reference this quite often, but it is a very useful tool in terms of doing technical analysis. And you can see that it's been, pulling back slightly after what was a big move to the upside in the ETH BTC pair. But ultimately, yesterday we saw some supply absorption, and we put in a higher low. I don't think this chart looks horrible in terms of the a chance of ETH going on to outperform Bitcoin. But we don't even need that to happen in order for ETH to show signs of positive price action, because like I said, I think Bitcoin and many of the major NASDAQ stocks have put in a low for the day already, and we are going to see higher prices from here on out. So Bitcoin looking good. Could have bid that as well. Look at this. They're exactly even in terms of beta right now, both down 0.56%. Something you don't see often, right? We talk about ETH as a higher beta vehicle, but it's really not that anymore. But either way, breaking above the 1900 level looks good. So I went ahead and took that position. CJ, looks like you are.
I'm texting. I'm not. Sorry.
But,
It is about crypto, though. I had some friends.
Yeah, but still
talking about coin. I wasn't putting any orders in. Or,
you weren't ordering any Panda Express or anything like that.
Not till about 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Panda. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I think the lows are in for the day. I got my orders in, just ETH right now and the Google position I'm in. And I'm going to continue riding them. And we'll provide updates to the members of our community in the Discord, like always. What's up, Keith? Hope that CRISPR analysis that I did for you in the Discord yesterday helped out a little bit. But other than that, I'm pretty much good on the day. CJ, anything you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
CRISPR gene editing. So what was the verdict for that? Did we buy any?
I mean, from a technical perspective, it looked like a decent buy. It was in the middle of a range, looking like it was heading to the top of the range. So I gave it the green light. But I'm not gonna. Don't ask me about the fundamentals of something like that. I don't want to debate human genome editing, or even. I don't even want to open myself to using the word eugenics.
Well, there you go.
I said it.
You've already incriminated yourself. Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at the ARC genomics ETF. Haven't really been browsing that one, but I mean, we'll see. Obviously, it's got interesting ramifications like AI and all this other futuristic stuff we like to invest in. Yeah, let's send IWM, or specifically the Russell futures, to 2100 and call it a day. All right.
That'd be a nice day. That'd be a nice day. I think we're actually set up for a pretty good turnaround Tuesday here today. So, I mean, ETH looks good, Bitcoin looks good. Seeing a little bit of profit taking on the 15-minute chart, but nonetheless, back ETH, knocking at that 1900 level. Above there, I really, really like it, and I think that we see some nice price action out of ETH, and I think we've seen the lows for the day. So that's all I got. But please do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And also, don't forget, head over to tradethechain.com for a 14-day free trial. We have a community of traders from all around the world that we share our insights with. They share their insights as well. It is a lot of fun to be a part of, and you can try it for 14 days, completely risk-free. So definitely check that out. But CJ, any parting words for our audience today as we wrap things up?
Hope you guys all have a good Tuesday, and see if we close up today. But should be interesting, enjoying the volatility regardless. And I hope you guys are